Good afternoon, all my beauty professionals. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating how to do a virgin bleach application. But before we get started with that, there's a few pointers I want you to know just for your own knowledge. The first thing I want to tell you is that the professional term for bleach is actually lightener. So it's up to you how you want to use that during a consultation with your client. But just know that term lightener is a lot softer than saying we're going to use bleach on your hair. And this is in the textbook too, just so you know. The second thing I want to tell you is bleach or lightener is not hair color. Bleach does not deposit ever any color on the hair. And I think I'm going to make another video to go more in detail with what lightener actually does to the hair. And the lighter you go, the weaker your hair becomes because the melanin in your hair is the strength of your hair. So there's a special way that you actually have to care for your hair when you get highlights or when you do a virgin bleach application on someone. So just know that it will never ever deposit color. It will only get rid of the color that's in your hair. That's natural and that's artificial color as well. And third, just because someone wants to be lighter does not automatically mean we're going to bleach their hair. Now, I'll go into it more in another video, but this is where you have an option of using what's called a high lift tint, which lifts up to 4 levels, but it's still a hair color. And it depends on the scenario that we're doing for this client. So just because someone says, I want to be lighter, if their hair is virgin, it's a matter of how light do they want to be and if it can be achieved with hair color as opposed to bleach slash lightener. So this procedure that I'm showing you is just the basic 4 sections. If you're in school learning this, how to do a virgin bleach application, you want to know that you're going to start in the back. And the reason why you start in the back is because hair is darkest in the back. So that hair needs more time to process as opposed to in the front where hair is lighter in the front. So I'm going to follow through with how you're learning it in school. And before we get started, I want to say thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for your support. God bless you. And let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is sanitize my hands. And then on my setup, I have a spatula, which you can just use a wooden stick to apply protective cream around the hairline. Now I'm using Vaseline to simulate protective cream. And the reason why I would personally apply protective cream around the hairline is really to protect your skin from any irritation from the lightener. Some people, they do not use protective cream, but while you're learning it in school, you should be using protective cream for all of your color and lightener services that you're learning. So for my setup, I have a temp bowl, an all-purpose comb for sectioning, which I already have her sectioned in 4. I have my temp brush, oops, and I have my shaving cream, which is my simulated bleach protective cream. You already saw me apply that. I have a spray bottle for a strand test, my towelette for my strand test, and then I have my gloves, of course. So one thing you never want to get in the habit of or get comfortable with is not wearing gloves. So yes, even while you're learning the procedure in school, you are simulating a chemical. So you should be wearing gloves when you're applying shaving cream to the bowl. That's just something you don't want to end up with contact dermatitis. So of course, you have your gloves on. So remember, I'm going to start in the back, and it does not matter if you start in the back left or the back right. I'm going to detangle the hair first, which I did detangle it before, but the quality of her hair is kind of funky. So I had to detangle it again. And I'm going to start in that back corner there on the top of the section. To be honest with you, you can start at the bottom and work your way up. For me, it's just a little too much work to have to clip, unclip, drop my subsection down, clip, unclip. I'd rather just start at the top and then lay the subsections over to the front left or the front right of the head. So what I'm showing you is that first zone, that's zone 1. From the scalp hair, it comes out 1/2 inch. Zone 2 starts a 1/2 inch away from the scalp up to that last inch of hair, which I don't think you can see it, but it's the last inch. So that whole strand, zone 2, is where I'm going to apply my first application. I'm going to leave zones 1 and 3 out. And now if you're in school and you're applying, I know it can be a little boring applying shaving cream, but you want to make sure that you flatten your brush out, that you really coat the hair, especially for testing purposes. Some of you out there still have a practical at State Board, and so you want to learn to apply that shaving cream correct because it does dry up on the hair. So if you continue to manipulate that hair with your tint brush, you're actually kind of working against yourself and brushing the shaving cream off. So I have my fingers up under my subsection as close as I can to the scalp, and I use that line of my finger for my 1/2 inch away from the scalp, and I'm going up to the porous ends. And I'm going to apply it underneath. Now, sometimes if you apply it heavy enough, it will go through the subsection, and in that case, you don't have to go over it because you're just doing chemical on chemical. But in this case, just for demonstration purposes, I'm showing you the top part of the subsection as well as underneath the subsection. So we're doing 1/2 inch away from the scalp, and we're going to apply it all the way down to that last inch of hair. Now what I don't want to see, that you don't want to over manipulate and go side to side and across the subsection, because that's actually damaging the cuticles. Bleach and lightener is actually a damaging chemical within itself, so we don't want to add to that damage. I'm just trying to swoop it slightly across the front where I don't get it on her face or get it in her eyes. Okay, now really quick, I just wanted to show you another way that you can do virgin bleach. This is how I used to teach it, which that's been over 15 years. You go from zone 2 all the way through the end. So that's just another way that you could do it if you're in the salon or if that's how you learn it at school. But I just showed it how we teach it where I work now. So we're speeding things up a little bit, but what I wanted to show you is when the subsections get wider, you make a peace sign, and if the hair goes past that, then you know that you would split that subsection in half, and you just do them side by side so you're not applying unevenly. And to make sure my microphone's on. Okay, so before I do a strand test, I'm making sure that there's none on her face, which there was, but I got it off. And then I'm making sure that her ends are not covered just yet. And so this is what it should look like. You see that distance in between should be a half an inch. Now the reason why you do the half an inch and the ends last is because there's a heat zone here, which means our body generates heat coming up through the scalp. So that's going to make the lightener process faster. And then also on the ends, they're like little sponges. So that's why they're called porous ends, because they can soak in things quicker. So of course, you would do the main part of the hair strand that takes longer to process first. And then by the time you get done with the whole head and come back to do your strand test, when you apply it to the heat zone and to the porous ends, it's going to catch up really quick. So then it'll be more even. It won't be uneven and it won't be over processed. So we're going to do strand test. Okay, so you want to take the piece where you started and in the section where you started. So that would be in this section. And just so you know, if you start in the back, it doesn't matter. It just depends on how you're taught and how you want to do it in the salon. As long as you start in the back, it really doesn't matter if you start in the back left or the back right, but just know both back sections have to be done first. Because remember now, hair is darker in the back. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, or you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you would come back to where you started and do your strand test. So I'm using this. In the salon, you might use a towel, but you're literally rinsing the lightener off the hair to truly see how it looks. So we want to open that hair up and wow, it's getting pretty light there. So then I'm going to reapply. Right, to zone 2. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to apply it to 1 and 3. 1 and 3. And just so you know, the width of your subsections, I always say thin enough to read a text through, and that would be about 1/8 of an inch. So most of the time with hair color, you want it to be about 1/4 of an inch, no thicker than 1/2 an inch, definitely not. But with lightener, you always want those subsections to be smaller. And you just have to have patience with that process. And also, too, just so you know, this is not a procedure that you would say, okay, I'm going to be back in about 40 minutes. You have to constantly check on the lightener because you could turn your back and within minutes, that hair can be platinum. So by the time you come back, that hair could be mush or noodles, and you don't want that. So now remember, I don't have to go here, here, and here because I already applied it to here all the way down the hair strand up to those porous ends, right? So I'm literally only focusing on zones 1 and 3. Heat zone and porous ends. So then I would do that all the way around. 1 and 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 3. And when it's done, you rinse. You have to rinse in cool water. A lot of people don't mention that. The reason why you have to rinse in cool water is because it helps to bring down the pH, but it also helps to stop processing. If you rinse out in warm water and you don't use an acidic shampoo, when they go home, their hair can continue to lift, and therefore they start seeing breakage in their hair because the hair is still getting lighter. Even from the sun hitting it and open those cuticles, it can still get lighter. So cool water helps to stop the processing. Then you're going to shampoo with an acidic shampoo. What's an acidic shampoo? That's a shampoo that's ranging within the pH range of our pH, which is 4.5 to 5.5, no higher than a 6. So that helps to stop it and bring back down the pH, because on the pH scale, lightener is very strong. It's actually one of the strongest chemicals that you work with. So I hope that that helps, and I hope that you enjoyed the video and you learned something. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Bye, guys.